Sure, Ruben. Thanks so much. And thanks for having me here for Contribution Days with this video. Obviously, as we just spoke earlier, I am very busy these days. I've got two very big things going on. The first is that I just came out with a new book. Pre-orders opened about a few weeks ago for the first ever book on voice content, including voice content strategy and voice content design. It's called Voice Content and Usability, and it's actually going to be coming out on June 22nd from A Book Apart. It's their first ever book on voice interfaces, so I'm very excited about it. And it's also got a lot to do with Drupal and with open source. There's a lot of mention of a case study that we worked on that uses Drupal as the foundation. And so I'm very excited about the book, and it'll be coming out June 22nd, and you can check it out at abookapart.com or at my website, preston.so/books/voice-content. And the other thing that I've got going on is actually very soon after this event, and we're very happy to have the ability to have this event this year. Decoupled Days is in its fifth year. It's the fifth anniversary of the only nonprofit, volunteer-run, open source, completely community-led conference for headless CMS and Jamstack. So Decoupled Days, for people who know, normally takes place in New York City. We're going to be completely online this year, just like last year. Hopefully we'll be back to in-person next year. But very excited about Decoupled Days as well, because we've got some amazing talks, some amazing case studies about headless implementations of Drupal and other CMSs in production. So July 14th through 15th is when Decoupled Days is happening, and you can check out more, including the full program, which will be online by the time this is up, on decoupleddays.com. All sorts of open source communities, as I think a lot of those who come to Decoupled Days know, we used to be a Drupal conference, and that Drupal conference kind of sense is still part of our culture, but we are very, very open to so many different open source technologies. Let me just share a few of those that we've got happening at the conference this year. We're going to have talks about Nuxt.js, Next.js, Vue.js, React.js. We're going to have talks about Gatsby as well. We're going to have plenty of talks about WordPress, including GraphQL for WordPress, Drupal, including some of the work around the decoupled menus initiative and the Druxt.js project. And we're also going to have not only all of those introductions to all these exciting new open source technologies, we're also going to have introductions and case studies that involve all of these different open source technologies in production. So I think one of the things that a lot of people are looking for these days, especially when it comes to decoupled Drupal and headless CMS in general and open source technologies and JavaScript and Jamstack, is a look into, well, how are these things actually working in production? Decoupled Days is definitely going to be a wonderful event. We're going to have lots of open source technologies represented, and it's going to be a very exciting event, because one of the exciting things that we've always had is every year we normally have people who come from the core teams or the core let's say contributor teams who work on these open source projects. We've had core team members from Angular join us, core team members from Gatsby join us. We've had core team members from a variety of different companies join us. And this year, we're going to have quite a few amazing folks who are part of the headless CMS ecosystem. So we'll have representation from people like Contentful, who's one of our Diamond sponsors this year. We'll also have representation from Netlify talking about Jamstack. So very exciting things, and a very exciting conference that's going to have a lot of information that goes well beyond just learning about these technologies, but also about how to actually apply them into actual real life builds. I want to make sure to hold space for the fact that, while we in Europe and the United States and a lot of other parts of the world are looking to move out of the pandemic here very soon, it's not so true for our dear colleagues and friends in India, in Latin America, in many parts of Asia. And of course, in places that still haven't had vaccination campaigns that have gotten off to a good start. So obviously, I think this answer is very focused on a certain subset of events in terms of coming back and trying to figure out the right mix. Very impressive that this contribution event is going to be a hybrid event. We'll be looking at that next year. But to make the event more engaging for those who are attending online, which is everybody this year, I think every event, every conference has struggled with this. We've seen this, with DrupalCon, with a lot of other open source events. The main thing that we're hoping to do with Decoupled Days is to foster an atmosphere where people can feel free to come in and out of the conference, but also, they don't have to feel like they need to be at the conference all day. We want to make sure that people are able to attend the certain talks that they want to attend. But the other thing that's really exciting is that not only will we have sponsor booths and really great sponsor times set up for people who want to visit with our sponsors. We've got some really great sponsors this year. We're also going to be having a raffle thanks to our in-kind sponsor JetBrains for some licenses of software. We're also going to have open discussion, obviously, on the Hopin platform. But I think I share the sentiment of a lot of different people who are, running these virtual events, who want to get right back to the conference venues where we can be in person and be able to have a lot of these conversations face to face. The biggest thing I want to share is obviously those who are in the Drupal ecosystem might know that I wrote the book on Decoupled Drupal in Practice, which actually I'm still a little surprised is the only book out on sort of the full end-to-end process of decoupling Drupal. But I also have another book coming out this fall called Gatsby, the Definitive Guide. It's the first book on Gatsby that's also a comprehensive end-to-end guide for people who want to build websites with Gatsby. And of course, my new book, Voice Content and Usability, is coming out on June 22nd, thanks to A Book Apart. And it's really going to be an exciting book because it's really the first ever book that deals more with informational voice interfaces or content-driven interfaces, which are very unusual and very different from the kinds of conversational interfaces and chatbots that we're used to with Amazon Alexa, Google Home, Apple Siri. We're not just talking about things like booking a flight or checking your credit card balance or looking at the next available restaurant reservation. We're looking more at, well, can we ask about certain questions? For example, can we ask about things like the side effects of vaccines, or can we ask about certain travel restrictions and get information as opposed to conducting transactions? So I've got a whole lot of information about the book, including a whole bunch of insights, blog posts, articles, videos on my website, preston.so, as well as on my Twitter account. My name is Preston So on Twitter. You can also check my content out on LinkedIn, where I've got a whole bunch of videos out about this paradigm as well. And of course, to get the book, definitely check out abookapart.com or check out my website, preston.so, if you want to look at some of the previews of the two books I've got coming out this year, as well as, of course, voice content and usability. Hey, thanks so much, and have fun in Conil and have fun with Contribution Days.